At just 19, Olivia finds herself the sole sister remaining at Whitmore's home for young ladies, a grim establishment where orphaned girls are auctioned off to the highest bidder. With three families having already deemed her too challenging, she braces for a harsh winter on the unforgiving streets, when a mysterious widowed rancher comes looking for more than just a quiet, obedient servant, but rather someone capable of connecting with his heartbroken 8-year-old daughter who has remained silent since her mother's passing. Olivia faces a pivotal choice. Is she ready to take the chance on her heart once again? Will this fractured family be her redemption? Or will Olivia's indomitable spirit lead them all to yet another heart-wrenching farewell? Olivia's grip faltered, and the knife tumbled from her hand, hitting the kitchen floor with a sharp clatter. She gazed at the crimson stain on her finger, a stark reminder of the blade's sharp bite as she peeled potatoes in the dim light. The town bell tolled 5 times, echoing through the streets. Dawn was still an hour away, yet Mrs. Whitmore insisted the girls begin their cooking duties before the first light of day. Olivia drew the crimson liquid from her wound and grasped the knife once more. Her hands trembled, a mix of chill and dread coursing through her. Today felt unique. She sensed it in the way Mrs. Whitmore had regarded her the previous night, as if weighing the choice between preserving a shattered piece of pottery or discarding it altogether. At 19, Olivia stood as the eldest among the girls remaining at Whitmore's home for young ladies. The name had an air of sophistication, yet everyone in Millbrook, Pennsylvania, understood its true nature. A location where young women without families lingered, anticipating the chance to be wed to anyone who could meet Mrs. Whitmore's demands. All 5 of her sisters had found their places over the past 3 years. That's how Mrs. Whitmore referred to it when she arranged for girls to be sold to men seeking wives or servants. Harper was the first, wed to a farmer who was twice her age. Then Lily was tasked with cooking for a family of 7 boys. Sophia took on the role of a shopkeeper's wife. Lizzie set out to tend to the ailing mother of an elderly man. At last, young Isabella, dear Isabella, just 16 years old, was entrusted to a lumber camp cook in need of assistance to nourish the hungry laborers. They never composed any letters. Girls like them had little opportunity to learn reading or writing skills. Olivia remained the sole occupant of the small attic room that had once been home to 6 beds. 5 beds now lay vacant, their thin mattresses exposed and frigid. At times, she engaged in conversation with herself, seeking the comfort of a voice that contrasted with Mrs. Whitmore's piercing directives. The crimson flow from her fingers stained the potato she was diligently peeling. Olivia meticulously cleaned it and continued her task. Mrs. Whitmore's frustration boiled over at the sight of wasted food, and Olivia knew she couldn't risk intensifying her ire any further. Over the past year, 3 men had attempted to win Olivia's affection. After 2 weeks, Mr. Jenkins returned her. He remarked that she posed an excessive number of inquiries and lacked an understanding of her role. After merely 5 days, Mr. Miles brought her back. He asserted that she was overly obstinate and refused to heed his wife's directives. The third, Mr. Jacob, barely held her for a complete day. He remarked that she possessed unconventional notions regarding women expressing their thoughts. With every return of Olivia, Mrs. Whitmore's expression grew increasingly stern. The woman's gray hair was consistently drawn back so tautly that it appeared to pull at her skin. Her pale blue eyes regarded Olivia as though she were a puzzle waiting to be unraveled. Last week, Mrs. Whitmore remarked that troublesome girls find themselves on the streets. The chill of winter approaches, Olivia. The streets offer little solace for a girl who finds herself without funds or a support system. Olivia understood the implications of that statement. Mrs. Whitmore's patience was wearing thin. If Olivia wasn't taken in soon, she'd find herself cast aside with nothing to her name. Those girls who were cast aside often found it difficult to endure their first winter in solitude. Thudding footsteps echoed across the floor above the kitchen. A presence lingered in Mrs. Whitmore's office. Olivia sensed their arrival in the stillness before dawn. A voice belonging to a man she couldn't place, murmuring softly alongside Mrs. Whitmore. They were discussing her. She had no doubt about it. Olivia held a potato that had been stripped bare, reduced to nearly nothing. She had been overthinking and trimming away excessively. She let it fall into the pot of water and extended her hand for another. Her stomach rumbled, a clear sign of her hunger. After everyone else had been fed, including Mrs. Whitmore, her adult son who assisted in managing the home, and any guests who might be present, the girls finally sat down to enjoy their breakfast. At times, there was hardly anything remaining for the girls. Olivia recalled the times when her true family had an abundance of food. Before the illness claimed her parents and baby brother when she was 14. Before the bank seized their farm due to her father's debt. Before she found herself in this place with her sisters, all of them orphans with no other options available. She often envisioned her sisters returning for her. Harper would enter with her farmer husband and declare, "We've come to take Olivia home." Or Lily would show up with the family she had prepared meals for and declare, "Olivia's going to stay with us now." Yet, as time went on, no one arrived. Olivia ceased her fantasies of being saved and began to contemplate her own means of fleeing. But where could a girl turn when she has no money, no skills beyond cooking and cleaning, and winter is approaching rapidly? The sound of footsteps above drew closer to the staircase. Olivia felt her heart race. Before long, Mrs. Whitmore would summon her upstairs to meet the visitor who had arrived to see her. She stood in the parlor, a figure of scrutiny, as the man weighed her value against his coin. Olivia placed the knife aside and cleaned her hands on her apron. The wound on her finger had ceased its flow of blood, yet the pain lingered on. These days, everything seems to ache. She felt a persistent ache in her back from the discomfort of the thin mattress she had slept on. Her hands bore the marks of hard work, rough and cracked from the relentless task of washing clothes in cold water. Her heart ached with the absence of her sisters, filled with uncertainty about whether they would ever reunite. Yet Olivia was determined to persevere. Not at this moment. She had endured 5 years in this place. She had endured the rejection of 3 different men who failed to shatter her resolve. She had endured the heart-wrenching experience of witnessing each of her sisters vanish, one after another. Perhaps she had the strength to endure whatever lay ahead. The floorboards overhead groaned as the footsteps echoed once more. A man's laughter resonated through the ceiling, not harsh or unkind, but imbued with a certain warmth. Olivia had never encountered a laugh quite like that in Mrs. Whitmore's house. She selected another potato and began to peel it with great care. Her hands were calm and unwavering now. No matter what came next, she would confront it with her head held high and her voice prepared. Olivia Charlotte was her name, and while she may not possess much, she undeniably had her own essence. That should suffice. The kitchen door creaked open behind her. "Olivia," Mrs. Whitmore's voice sliced through the early morning stillness with a sharpness that demanded attention. "Abandon that task and come upstairs." At this moment, Olivia placed the knife down once again. She brushed her brown hair away from her face and squared her shoulders. She pivoted and made her way toward the unknown that awaited her above. Little did she know, everything was about to shift dramatically. "Please take a seat, Mr. Noah." Olivia stood motionless at the top of the stairs. A man's voice resonated from the parlor below, yet it lacked the commanding tone typical of most men. He invited Mrs. Whitmore to take a seat. No one ever dared to dictate to Mrs. Whitmore in her own home. "I prefer to stand during business meetings," Mrs. Whitmore stated, her tone cutting through the air like a shard of glass. "This will be quick." Olivia stealthily descended 3 additional steps, straining to glimpse into the parlor while remaining unnoticed. As she peered through the doorway, her gaze fell upon a tall figure, his dark hair adorned with striking silver streaks. He donned tidy work attire, neither extravagant like that of the affluent nor tattered and frayed like that of the less fortunate. "In fact, it could require more time than you anticipate," the man remarked. His voice carried a steady assurance, yet it held a resolute strength. "I have inquiries regarding the girl." Olivia's heart raced. They were discussing her exactly as she had suspected. However, this man referred to her as the girl, unlike some visitors who used terms like it or that one. Minor distinction, yet Olivia observed. Olivia Charlotte, at the age of 19, is vibrant and fully equipped to handle all household responsibilities, Mrs. Whitmore remarked in her persuasive tone. She possesses the skills to prepare meals, maintain cleanliness, do laundry, repair items, and care for gardens. She possesses the strength required for farm work if necessary. What can you tell me about her education? Olivia was taken aback by the question. Many of the men who arrived here showed little concern for whether the girls had the ability to read or write. Mrs. Whitmore remarked swiftly that she is quite proficient with her letters and numbers. Excessive education can lead girls to develop an inflated sense of self-worth. Olivia nearly let out a laugh. She was able to decipher basic words and pen her own name, but that was the extent of her skills. Mrs. Whitmore ensured that the girls received a limited amount of education. "What about her character?" the gentleman inquired. Mrs. Whitmore's pause extended beyond what felt comfortable. Olivia paused, her breath caught in her throat, and Mrs. Whitmore finally admitted that Olivia has faced some challenges with her previous placements. She can be quite determined. In what way are you headstrong? She poses inquiries when silence would be more appropriate. She contends when she ought to comply. She believes her views hold significance. Olivia flinched. When Mrs. Whitmore framed it that way, it seemed dreadful. Yet Olivia found herself pondering various thoughts. What accounts for the disparity between those who possess so much and those who possess so little? What led to the expectation that girls should remain silent about their thoughts? What led to men having the authority to make all the decisions? "I understand," the man replied, though his tone lacked any hint of anger. "What type of inquiries does she pose?" "Questions that were none of her concern," Mrs. Whitmore retorted sharply. "Mr. Noah, I must inform you that Olivia has been returned to me by 3 different families. If you seek a serene and compliant companion who will remain unobtrusive, you may wish to explore other options." Olivia's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Mrs. Whitmore attempted to distance herself by revealing all her least favorable traits to Mr. Noah right from the start. But what is the reason? Typically, Mrs. Whitmore endeavored to portray the girl as flawless until the transaction was completed. "What if I'm seeking something more dynamic and assertive?" Mr. Noah inquired. Olivia and Mrs. Whitmore fell into a hush. Olivia had never encountered a man expressing such sentiments before. "Excuse me?" Mrs. Whitmore's voice came out choked. "What if I require someone who inquires and forms her own thoughts?" Mr. Noah pressed on. "What if I require someone resilient enough to advocate for justice?" Olivia leaned forward with such intensity that she nearly tumbled down the stairs. This dialogue unfolded in a manner entirely different from her expectations. "Mr. Noah," Mrs. Whitmore said with a measured tone, "it might be best if you clarify the specific assistance you require. My daughter requires a person who will remain steadfast in her support." Mr. Noah stated plainly, "Someone who will stand by her side even in challenging times." "Child?" Olivia's thoughts surged with intensity. Many of the men who arrived sought companions or helpmates. This man received assistance. "What type of assistance?" "What is your daughter's age?" Mrs. Whitmore inquired. 8. She goes by the name Aurora. "What about her mother?" "Passed away 6 months ago." Mr. Noah's voice softened. Since the funeral, Aurora has remained silent. Olivia felt a tightness in her chest. A young girl, just 8 years old, had experienced the loss of her mother and had become silent. Olivia understood the deep ache of losing everyone she held dear. At the age of 14, she faced the tragic loss of her parents. Yet, the haunting stillness that followed lingered in her mind. As the world continued its relentless march, you found yourself suspended in time. "Since my wife passed, I have employed 3 different housekeepers." Mr. Noah pressed on. Everyone claimed Aurora was too challenging. One remarked that she was intentionally being obstinate. Another remarked that she lacked complexity in her thinking. The third suggested I should send her to a facility for children deemed beyond help. Olivia's hands clenched into tight fists. It's outrageous that those women would speak so harshly about a young girl who was simply feeling sad and frightened. "What leads you to believe that Olivia has the potential to excel further?" Mrs. Whitmore inquired. "She has faced challenges and emerged resilient, refusing to let them diminish her spirit." Mr. Noah stated, "Her inquisitive nature drives her to question the status quo, rather than resigning herself to the belief that negative circumstances are unchangeable. 3 families sent her back for being too strong, and that resilience is precisely what Aurora must witness." Olivia was in disbelief at the words being spoken to her. This man, this enigmatic figure, grasped a truth about her that she had only begun to comprehend within herself. He perceived her refusal to remain silent as a display of strength rather than mere stubbornness. "Olivia!" Mrs. Whitmore's voice sliced through the air with sharp intensity. "Cease your lurking on the stairs and join us down here at once." Olivia leaped. In her intense concentration on listening, she lost sight of the need to remain concealed. Her cheeks flushed with a deep crimson hue. She descended the last few steps and entered the parlor. What caught her attention first about Mr. Noah were his eyes. They were gray, reminiscent of storm clouds, yet carried a warmth that was unexpected. When he gazed at her, she sensed that he wasn't measuring her value. He gazed at her as if she held significance. "Miss Charlotte," he said, rising as she stepped into the room. Olivia gazed intently. The men failed to support the girls from Mrs. Whitmore's house. They hardly regarded them as individuals. "Mr. Noah," she spoke with caution. "I assume you caught the majority of our discussion," he remarked. To Olivia's astonishment, a faint smile appeared on his lips. He felt no anger at her eavesdropping. "Absolutely, sir. I apologize for overhearing your conversation." He said not to apologize for your curiosity about what others are saying regarding your future. That's precisely the mindset my daughter should embrace. Mrs. Whitmore let out a sound of disapproval, yet Mr. Noah paid her no mind. "Pray, enlighten me, Miss Charlotte," he urged. "What are your thoughts on caring for a child who may not communicate with you for extended periods, possibly weeks or even months? A child who may appear to resist your assistance?" Olivia reflected on young Aurora, just 8 years old and enveloped in sorrow. She reflected on her 14-year-old self, filled with anger and a sense of being adrift after the loss of her parents. She reflected on all the moments she had wished for someone to grasp that being challenging didn't equate to being flawed. Olivia spoke thoughtfully, suggesting that at times when silence falls between people, it may be due to a lack of attention to what truly matters. Mr. Noah's smile expanded even more. "What would capture your attention?" "The unspoken thoughts lingered in the air," Olivia replied. "The messages she's attempting to convey through all that surrounds her." For an extended period, the parlor remained utterly silent. Mr. Noah then gave a nod. "Miss Charlotte," he remarked, "would you consider coming home with me to meet Aurora?" The floorboard let out a piercing cry as Caleb Noah advanced, and Olivia's heart almost ceased its rhythm at the sight of what he bore, a petite wooden horse, adorned in a vivid red hue with a shimmering golden mane. "This was my daughter's," he said, cradling the toy gently as if it were fragile. "Aurora crafted it on her own last Christmas, prior to her mother's illness." Mrs. Whitmore let out a pronounced cough to capture attention. "Mr. Noah, we were having a conversation about Olivia's placement. We are contemplating Aurora's future." Caleb interrupted her, his tone steady yet calm. He gazed directly at Olivia. "Miss Charlotte, I have something significant to share with you. Aurora has completely ceased her conversations. She has ceased to play, diminished her eating, and no longer embodies the essence of a little girl." Olivia gazed intently at the wooden horse. The paint had worn away, a testament to the countless times it had been grasped. "Where is she at this moment?" "Taking refuge beneath the kitchen table. She does that when she arrives." Caleb's large hands carefully flipped the toy over. "She has been eavesdropping on all our conversations from below. These ancient homes transmit sound as fluidly as water flows through pipes." A shiver coursed down Olivia's spine. The young girl listened as they discussed her, as if she were merely a puzzle to be figured out. "What mistakes did the other housekeepers make?" Caleb sank into his chair with a weighty thud, causing it to groan beneath him. Mrs. Abigail, the first one, attempted to compel Aurora to speak by withholding food until she requested it. Aurora went without food for 2 days. Olivia's hands clenched into tight fists. "That's harsh." The second one, Miss Jenkins, concluded that Aurora was intentionally being obstinate. She remained in the corner for hours, insisting she couldn't budge until she found her voice. Caleb's jaw clenched. "Upon returning home, I discovered that Aurora had chosen to wet herself instead of speaking up to request access to the outhouse." Mrs. Whitmore adjusted her position in the chair. "It's possible that the child requires strong direction." "The third one," Caleb persisted, disregarding her presence. Mrs. Hazel informed Aurora that well-behaved girls who cherish their fathers do not cause them concern by remaining silent. She claimed that Aurora was acting selfishly and intentionally causing me pain. Olivia was unwell. What transpired next? Aurora remained concealed in the barn loft for a duration of 6 hours. I discovered her in the shadows, weeping intensely, struggling to catch her breath. Caleb gazed at the wooden horse beneath him. That was the moment I resolved to do away with housekeepers. I would prefer to handle everything on my own than to see unfamiliar people cause harm to my daughter. "So, what brought you here today?" Olivia inquired. Caleb remained silent for an extended period. Last week, Aurora took an action that frightened me more than her silence ever could. Silence enveloped the room. Even Mrs. Whitmore ceased her restless manipulation of the papers. Caleb lifted the toy and said, "She gave me this horse." She placed it in my hands, her gaze lingering on me as if she were bidding farewell. After that, she retreated to her room and remained inside for 2 days. She would only consume food when I placed it outside her door. Olivia felt her heart race. What do you believe her intention was? It seems to me that she might be losing hope. It seems she feels like she's a burden. Perhaps the world would be a brighter place if she simply vanished. Caleb's voice wavered slightly.
I cannot bear the thought of losing her as well, Miss Charlotte. She is the only connection I have to her mother.
This is everything that remains of the family we created together. Mrs. Whitmore rose abruptly. This is quite unusual. Olivia is here to focus on her own future, not to listen to your family issues. However, Olivia had ceased to pay attention to Mrs. Whitmore. Her thoughts drifted to Aurora, just 8 years old, tucked away beneath the kitchen table, convinced she was too shattered to be worthy of love. Olivia was familiar with that sensation. She had experienced it daily at the boarding house. Mr. Noah, Olivia spoke with deliberation. What makes you believe I could stand out from the rest? Caleb gazed at her, and in that moment, she noticed a depth in his eyes that was entirely new to her, a blend of longing and urgency akin to a man submerged in water grasping for salvation. He spoke softly, acknowledging that you know the weight of being labeled as difficult. It's frustrating when others decide to abandon their efforts to truly comprehend you before giving it a fair chance. Aurora seeks a companion who understands that her silence is not a problem to be solved, but a space to be honored as she navigates her journey back to the world. Olivia pondered over this. What if she never speaks again? Then she simply doesn't, Caleb stated with conviction. Yet, it is essential for her to feel cherished regardless of her words. She must regain her sense of safety. She must keep in mind that silence does not equate to being flawed. Mrs. Whitmore let out an exasperated huff. This is utterly ridiculous. Olivia lacks experience with children, particularly those who are challenging. She struggles to keep herself together. I used to be quite the handful, Olivia remarked, her voice gaining strength. I understand the sensation of being discussed by adults as if you're invisible. I understand the feeling of thinking you're nothing but a source of chaos. Caleb inclined his body, eager and attentive. What was beneficial for you? Olivia pondered deeply. Nothing truly made a difference. I found a surge of anger that fueled my determination to continue the struggle. However, Aurora stands apart. She isn't upset. She feels frightened, sorrowful, and exhausted. Olivia took a moment to stop. Perhaps what she truly requires isn't a person to fix her. Perhaps she requires a companion to be by her side during her struggles, to remind her that being broken does not equate to being worthless. Silence enveloped the room. Caleb gazed at Olivia as if she had just revealed a brilliant idea. Mrs. Whitmore appeared perplexed and annoyed. Are you open to giving it a shot? Caleb inquired, fully aware that she might remain silent forever, and that it could take an eternity for her to place her trust in another. Olivia envisioned Aurora tucked away beneath the table, eavesdropping on the adults as they deliberated her future. She reflected on the wooden horse, relinquished as if it were a farewell. She reflected on all the moments she had wished for someone to look beyond her fury and recognize the frightened girl within. Olivia expressed her willingness. However, I have stipulations, Mrs. Whitmore exclaimed. Olivia, it seems you may not have the standing to issue demands. Yet, Caleb nodded. What circumstances? I wish to meet Aurora prior to making any decisions. I wish to engage with her, regardless of whether she responds. I seek to comprehend her needs, rather than rely on assumptions. Olivia inhaled deeply, inhaled. I need your assurance that if I express that she requires something other than what you believe she needs, you will hear me out. Caleb remained silent for an extended period. Then he smiled, and it transformed his entire expression. Miss Charlotte, I believe you could be precisely what Aurora has been longing for. A faint noise drifted up from below, reminiscent of a chair being dragged across the floor. Aurora was bustling about in the kitchen, likely straining to catch every sound. There's one more thing, Caleb said, his voice dropping to a whisper. Aurora has been experiencing unsettling dreams, unfavorable ones. She awakens in terror, yet remains silent about the nightmares haunting her. The physician indicates that it's typical for kids who have experienced the loss of a parent, yet he merely shrugged, a picture of helplessness. I'm at a loss for how to assist her when she remains silent on the matter. Olivia gave a subtle nod. I once experienced nightmares as well. I still do that occasionally. Perhaps that's an idea we can explore collaboratively. Mrs. Whitmore finally interjected, her tone laced with irritation. This is quite moving, yet we have yet to address the practical aspects. Olivia requires appropriate placement, complete with references and a contract. I'll offer you twice the usual amount for placements, Caleb stated with a steady demeanor. Olivia will have her own room, her own horse to ride into town, and sufficient wages to save for her future should she choose to leave. Olivia's eyes widened in astonishment. Her very own space? Her very own horse? Funds to set aside? She had never envisioned such possibilities. Moreover, Caleb elaborated, this isn't an ordinary servant arrangement. Olivia would become a cherished member of our family. She would share meals with us, attend church on Sundays, and participate in household decisions. He fixed his gaze on Olivia. I'm not seeking someone to cater to our needs, Miss Charlotte. I seek a companion to guide us on our journey to recovery. Mrs. Whitmore's jaw dropped in astonishment. This was beyond anything she had ever organized for any of her girls. Olivia was overwhelmed by a swirl of potential and trepidation. It seemed almost unbelievable. What's the hidden detail? Caleb's smile carried a touch of melancholy, yet it was genuine. The reality is that Aurora may never improve. Some days will undoubtedly present more challenges than others. Healing is neither swift nor simple, and its outcome is never guaranteed. He took a moment to stop. However, the twist is that if you depart once Aurora begins to place her trust in you, it could shatter her entirely. Olivia grasped the situation. This transcended mere employment or a residence. This was about joining a family that was on the brink of falling apart. It was about embracing the weight of a young girl's emotions. I need to ponder this, Olivia remarked. Without a doubt, Caleb rose to his feet. Would you consider meeting Aurora first, just to gauge if you believe it could be a good fit? Olivia gazed at Mrs. Whitmore, her face flushed with irritation, yet unable to dispute such a magnanimous proposal. Then she turned her gaze back to Caleb, the man who cared for his daughter so deeply that he was willing to place his faith in a stranger for her healing. Indeed, Olivia responded. I would really love to meet Aurora. As they got ready to depart from Mrs. Whitmore's parlor, Olivia caught the faint scraping sound once more from below. Aurora remained attentive, poised to discover what fate awaited her next. Olivia wished she was prepared to craft a more fulfilling conclusion to this little girl's tale than anyone had ever created for her own. A piercing scream echoed through the farmhouse at midnight, so intense it could break glass. Olivia shot up in her cramped bed, her heart racing as the noise reverberated through the walls. A piercing scream echoed, filled with urgency and fear, emanating from Aurora's room across the hall. Olivia's unprotected feet met the chill of the wooden floor before she had completely emerged from slumber. She discovered Caleb already present, perched on Aurora's bed in his nightshirt, attempting to soothe his daughter. Aurora writhed beneath her blankets, her eyes tightly shut, uttering nonsensical phrases that conveyed the deepest fear imaginable. Mom, please don't go underground. Mom, it's time to wake up. The soil is excessively dense. Olivia felt a deep ache as she observed the young girl battling unseen foes. This marked the fourth unsettling dream of the week, each increasingly disturbing than the previous. Caleb appeared drained, vulnerable, akin to a warrior battling an invisible foe. Aurora, my dear, you are secure, Caleb murmured softly, yet his daughter remained oblivious to his words, lost in her fear. Olivia inched nearer. Could I give something a go? Caleb nodded, his desperation evident as he welcomed any assistance. Olivia ascended onto the bed and settled beside Aurora, maintaining a respectful distance yet near enough for the little girl to sense her warmth. Then she started to sing, gently, an ancient melody her mother had once sung before the illness claimed her. Quiet now, dear sparrow. Fold your tired wings. The morning light arrives, carrying the promise that dawn unfolds. Aurora's struggles began to wane. Her eyes fluttered open, filled with confusion and fear. However, she was now alert. The dirt won't hurt your mama, Olivia whispered. She's not truly beneath the earth, you see. The essence that defined her as your mother, the love she held for you, remains present. Olivia caressed her chest softly. It resides within you now, in your heart, a place where nothing can cause it pain. Aurora gazed at Olivia, her large dark eyes shimmering, tears glistening on her cheeks.
Do you sense it?
Olivia inquired. That cozy feeling within that ignites when you reflect on the depth of her love for you? Aurora's hand glided gently to her chest. She placed her palm on her nightgown and gave a slight nod. That's her, Olivia remarked. That's the crucial aspect. The earth cannot reach that section. Nothing is capable of that. At last, after Olivia's arrival, Aurora found her voice, a gentle hum, harmonizing perfectly with Olivia's lullaby. It was faint, reminiscent of a whispering breeze through the blades of grass, yet unmistakably, it was Aurora's voice. Caleb's eyes brimmed with tears. Olivia continued her soothing melody until Aurora drifted back into a serene slumber, calm and tranquil. As she attempted to rise, Caleb grasped her arm. Thank you, he murmured. For months now I've been working to assist her with those nightmares. Nothing seemed to work. Olivia gently brushed Aurora's hair aside, revealing her features. At times, the sadness feels insurmountable. At times, you simply need to linger with it until it wears itself out. The following morning presented their initial genuine challenge as a family. Olivia stirred awake to see Aurora by her bedside, clad in her nightgown, clutching a sheet of paper. What is this, darling? Olivia inquired, propping herself up. Aurora silently passed her the paper. It was adorned with meticulous illustrations. Simple stick figures, unmistakably representing the three of them, positioned in front of the farmhouse. Yet in the corner, another figure lay still, marked by X's for eyes. Olivia felt a constriction in her throat. Is this your mother? Aurora gave a slight nod. Do you feel concerned that being happy with me and your dad might mean you're leaving her behind? A further acknowledgement, this time accompanied by new tears. Olivia drew Aurora onto her lap. Oh, darling, pay close attention to what I'm about to say. Your heart is not a vessel that fills to the brim, leaving no space for additional love. It resembles a garden. The more affection you nurture within it, the larger it flourishes. Embracing the love for me and your papa doesn't diminish the love you have for your mama. It simply expands your garden. Aurora nestled against Olivia's shoulder, and Olivia sensed a wave of relief wash over the little girl's frame. Moreover, Olivia said gently, I believe your mother would wish for your happiness. Do you believe she would appreciate knowing that there are individuals who look after you? Aurora remained silent for an extended period. She then gestured towards the drawing, focusing on the stick figure that symbolized Olivia. What about myself? Olivia inquired. Aurora caressed Olivia's face softly, then gestured to her own heart, the very place where she had sensed her mother's affection the previous night. Olivia grasped the concept. Aurora wondered whether Olivia would also find a place in her heart. If Olivia were to join that cozy, secure haven where affection thrived. For all eternity, Olivia vowed. No matter how old and gray I become, or how much my memory fades, I will always remain right here. She caressed Aurora's chest softly. Right in the heart's garden, offering companionship to your mama. In that moment, Aurora's smile blossomed, the first genuine expression of joy Olivia had ever witnessed from her. It changed her entire appearance, evoking the vibrant, inquisitive child her father cherished in his memories. However, their tranquil moment was shattered by the sound of loud, angry voices outside, causing Aurora to freeze in fear. Olivia gazed through the window, her eyes catching sight of 3 men on horseback in the yard. Caleb engaged in conversation, yet his posture remained taut and guarded. A man was angrily gesturing towards the house, pointing emphatically. Stay here, Olivia instructed Aurora. Yet the young girl clutched her arm. Aurora's eyes were filled with a haunting fear reminiscent of the terror Olivia had witnessed in the depths of her nightmares. She gestured toward the window, then covered her mouth with both hands, her head shaking in a frantic manner. Olivia grasped the concept. Aurora had encountered men of this kind previously, individuals who arrived to seize possessions, to disrupt families. The young girl felt a surge of fear, worried that they had come for Olivia. I'm not going anywhere, Olivia declared with conviction, but I must uncover their intentions. She hurriedly donned her clothes and descended the stairs, with Aurora trailing closely behind, resembling a shadow. They stealthily approached the kitchen window, allowing them to observe and eavesdrop on all that transpired. I mentioned it earlier, Noah. That girl has no place here. A man was speaking. He had a large, rugged appearance, sporting a beard that was in dire need of a trim. She is meant to be employed by the Hartwell family. Caleb remained steadfast. Olivia is precisely in her rightful place. She is assisting with the care of my daughter. That's not what we heard, remarked another man, lean and sharp-eyed. It seems she's adopting a pretentious attitude, behaving as if she's above genuine effort. The Hartwells are decent, faith-driven individuals who provided her with a respectable opportunity. Olivia felt a chill run through her veins. She identified the slender figure now. He served Thomas Hartwell, the man who sought to silence her outspoken nature. Moreover, the initial individual persisted. Whispers circulate around the community regarding this arrangement. A young single woman residing in a home with a widowed gentleman. That's not appropriate. It's creating quite a stir. Caleb's jaw clenched. This arrangement is entirely appropriate. Olivia is simply an employee, nothing beyond that. Yet Olivia noticed the uncertainty beginning to flicker in his gaze. She had encountered that expression previously. That instant when a person began to question whether she was worth the chaos she created. Aurora pulled at Olivia's skirt, gesturing towards the back door. The young girl wished for them to flee, to conceal themselves, to vanish before the men could seize Olivia. Yet Olivia had devoted countless years to evading and concealing herself. She had assured Aurora of her presence, and she was determined to honor that commitment. As she swung the front door wide, she stepped onto the porch with Aurora closely following her. "Gentlemen," Olivia declared, her voice unwavering even as her heart raced, "I see that you're looking to have a conversation with me." The men glanced over, taken aback by her audacity. The large man with the beard scrutinized her from head to toe as if she were a piece of cattle on display. "Are you the girl from Charlotte? The individual responsible for all this chaos?" "I'm Olivia Charlotte," she stated plainly. "And the only trouble I've stirred up is assisting a young girl with her nightmares and mastering the art of baking decent biscuits." The slender man scoffed. "Don't try to outsmart us, girl. There are obligations you must attend to. The Hartwells presented you with a valuable opportunity, yet you fled as if you were a royal, too refined for genuine effort." "I didn't run away," Olivia responded. "I selected a superior option." This infuriated all three men. The notion that a girl from the boarding house might select her own path, rejecting what they deemed to be generous charity, clearly ruffled their feathers. The bearded man spoke with a stern tone, asserting, "You don't get to choose. Individuals like you accept what comes your way and appreciate it." At that moment, Aurora took an action that caught everyone off guard. She emerged from behind Olivia, met the furious gaze of the men, and spoke with a voice as clear as a bell. "She's staying put. She belongs to us now." The ensuing silence was absolute. Caleb gazed at his daughter in wonder. The three men appeared bewildered and a touch sheepish. No one was inclined to dispute with a girl of 8. Yet Aurora had more to say. She grasped Olivia's hand and gazed up at her with unwavering faith. Aurora spoke gently, urging, "Let them know you're not going anywhere. Inform them of your commitment." Olivia gazed at the courageous young girl who had discovered her voice to stand up for someone dear to her. She gazed at Caleb, who regarded her with a blend of hope and trepidation in his eyes. She gazed at the trio of men who embodied all that she had fled from, the notion that her worth was solely determined by the judgments of others. "I promised," Olivia declared, her voice gaining strength with every word, "and I uphold my promises." The man's face, adorned with a beard, flushed a deep shade of red. "This is absurd. You simply cannot—" "Indeed, I can," Olivia interjected. "I am 19 years of age. I have the freedom to select my employers, reside in any place I desire, and determine the course of my own life." She was bending the truth. Legally, Mrs. Whitmore still held some claim over her, but Olivia was wagering that these men were unaware of the precise laws concerning orphaned girls. Caleb moved in, his presence steady and comforting just behind her. "You've heard what Miss Charlotte said. She has made her decision. I recommend that you show it the respect it deserves." The three men appeared hesitant at this moment. They anticipated instilling fear in a frightened girl and a mourning widower. They were unprepared for the sight of a cohesive alliance. "The Hartwells are not going to appreciate this," the thin man whispered. Olivia stated with conviction that the Hartwells would need to seek out another candidate, one who genuinely desires to be part of their team. Following a series of complaints and increasingly hollow threats, the trio of men eventually departed on their horses. Olivia observed their departure, her hands trembling ever so slightly now that the confrontation had concluded. Aurora wrapped her arms around Olivia's waist in a warm embrace. "You remained," she murmured. "I told you I would," Olivia replied, embracing her warmly. Caleb stepped onto the porch, a mix of pride and concern etched across his face. "That was courageous, Olivia, yet it may not be finished." Olivia nodded, acknowledging the Hartwell's sway in the community. "I understand, but fleeing from the situation has never provided a solution. Moreover," she cast her gaze downward at Aurora, who remained tightly grasping her, "I have a cause that truly matters to me now." As they stepped back inside, Olivia understood that the true challenge lay not in the nightmares, the furious men, or even the whispers circulating in town. The true challenge lay in her ability to embrace the belief that she was worthy of the affection this small family extended to her. The horses arrived at dawn, their hooves striking the frozen ground with a fierce intensity. Olivia let the milk pail slip from her grasp as her eyes widened at the sight of the black wagon making its way down the dirt path. Milk splattered starkly against her boots, yet she remained frozen in place. She recognized that wagon. She recognized the woman perched rigidly in the driver's seat. Mrs. Whitmore had discovered her. "Aurora?" Olivia called, her voice trembling. "Aurora, please come inside immediately." The young girl glanced upward as she scattered corn for the chickens. Her complexion drained of color upon catching sight of the wagon. She dashed to Olivia and clasped her hand firmly. "Who are those individuals?" Aurora murmured softly. "Individuals from my past," Olivia remarked. "Individuals who believe they possess control over me." Caleb emerged from the barn, his hands being wiped clean on a rag. Upon seeing the wagon, his expression hardened, becoming as unyielding as stone. He approached Olivia and Aurora, positioning himself protectively between them and the guests. Mrs. Whitmore descended from the wagon with the grace of royalty leaving her regal seat. She donned her finest black dress and a fierce expression. A man Olivia recalled all too vividly followed her. Thomas Hartwell, slender and keen-witted. He attempted to propose to her previously, but returned her when her incessant inquiries became too much to bear. "Olivia Charlotte," Mrs. Whitmore declared, her voice slicing through the frigid air with precision. "You will accompany us right now." "No," Olivia said, surprising herself with the calmness in her voice. Mrs. Whitmore's eyes widened in surprise. No girl from her home had ever refused her, not a single time in 2 decades. "Excuse me?" Mrs. Whitmore's voice had the power to freeze water. "No, I'm here to stay." Thomas Hartwell advanced, a wicked grin spreading across his gaunt features. "Now, Olivia, please don't complicate things. We have traveled a significant distance to reach you. I've chosen to offer you another opportunity. Few would show such kindness after the chaos you created." Aurora let out a tiny, frightened noise. Olivia tightened her grip. "What difficulties?" Caleb inquired, his tone steady yet menacing. Thomas chuckled, yet the sound lacked joy. "She never mentioned it to you? Your small assistant has a fascinating background. Launched a bowl of soup at my mother. I referred to my sister as a fool. Declined to don appropriate attire. It's clear why she's not attracting anyone." Olivia's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. While those aspects held validity, the narrative extended beyond that. Significantly more. "Is that really the case?" Caleb gazed at Olivia with gentle eyes. "What was the reason behind throwing the soup?" Olivia took a deep breath. She had kept the true reasons to herself, never revealing them to anyone. "Your mother remarked that I was foolish due to my struggles with reading." She chuckled at my expense in front of the whole crowd. "What about my sister?" She informed Aurora's teacher that orphan children were unkempt and ought not to be in school alongside well-bred kids. Caleb gave a slow, deliberate nod. "What about the dresses?" Olivia's cheeks flushed with intensity. They were rather diminutive. Deliberately. Thomas mentioned that it would help me appreciate everything I received. The ensuing silence hung in the air, dense and oppressive. Caleb's hands gradually formed tight fists at his sides. Mrs. Whitmore let out a derisive snort. Rationalizations and fabrications. This is precisely why she requires a strong guiding presence. Thomas has kindly consented to take her once more, in spite of her previous conduct. How gracious, Caleb remarked, his tone devoid of warmth. Thomas swelled with pride, strutting around confidently. I'll be doing her a kindness. No other man would desire such a challenging woman. She ought to appreciate that I'm choosing to ignore her shortcomings. What imperfections? Aurora unexpectedly chimed in, her voice soft yet distinct. All eyes were drawn to the small girl. She emerged from behind Olivia, her chin held high. What flaws does Olivia possess? Aurora inquired once more, her voice rising in volume. Thomas blinked, unaccustomed to facing inquiries from youngsters. Indeed, she is. She is determined, and she voices her thoughts at the wrong moments, and she has aspirations beyond her current position. What's the issue with generating ideas? Aurora inquired. Children ought to be observed rather than vocalized, Mrs. Whitmore exclaimed sharply. Aurora's eyes sparkled with intensity. Olivia believes that intelligent kids are those who inquire. She believes that inquiries facilitate our understanding. Thomas gestured towards Aurora as if she were evidence of something sinister. She's already filling the child's mind with absurdities. This is precisely why Olivia requires appropriate direction. Olivia experienced a wave of nausea. They had tracked her down to this sanctuary. They spoke of her as if she were a wild steed in need of taming. Even more troubling, they were frightening Aurora. I will not go, Olivia stated with conviction. This place is my home. I have tasks to complete. I have a purpose. Mrs. Whitmore's face flushed with color. You remain under my guardianship until you reach the age of 21 or enter into marriage. The law stands with me, my dear. You will accompany us, or I will ensure the sheriff brings you back to town against your will. Is it the sheriff? Caleb's voice was soft, yet there was an undeniable quality that silenced the room. Indeed, the sheriff, Mrs. Whitmore remarked, her confidence wavering. I possess documents confirming Olivia's affiliation with my institution. Is it meant to be here? Caleb advanced a step. Individuals are not possessions of one another. Not in the United States. Not any longer. Thomas took a moment to clear his throat. Now listen closely, Mr. Noah. I'm not sure what this girl has shared with you, but she's a handful. It has always been that way. I'm helping you out by relieving you of her presence. Where is she being taken? Caleb inquired. To my farm, naturally, where she will acquire the right manners. What if she fails to grasp it? Thomas gave a slight shrug. There are methods to guide challenging women. My first wife was quite headstrong as well initially. The expression that flickered across Caleb's face caused Olivia to instinctively retreat a step. She had never witnessed a person embody such fury and composure simultaneously. Your initial spouse? Caleb spoke with deliberate slowness. What transpired with her? Died in childbirth, Thomas remarked, as if it were of no consequence. Fragile health. Yet Olivia appeared more resilient. She ought to endure for a greater duration. Aurora inhaled sharply. Olivia sensed the world whirling around her. She had caught wind of murmurs regarding Thomas Hartwell's first wife. Rumors circulated that she bore bruises at the time of her death. Rumors circulated that she had attempted to escape on 3 separate occasions. You will leave my property, Caleb said, his voice chillingly calm. At that moment, Mrs. Whitmore straightened herself to her full stature. Your authority does not extend to this place, Mr. Noah. Olivia will be joining us. The statute dictates this. Is that so? Caleb delved into his coat and retrieved a neatly folded piece of paper. I also have a document from Judge Abigail in town. Olivia Charlotte is currently under my protection as we look into the allegations of abuse within your institution. Olivia's heart raced with shock. When did Caleb acquire such a document? How did he know to obtain it? Mrs. Whitmore seized the paper from his grasp, her eyes darting over the text with urgency. Her face shifted from crimson to pale and back to crimson once more. This is quite unusual, she exclaimed. Caleb spoke with a calm demeanor, sharing that Judge Abigail held a different opinion, particularly after hearing about the circumstances in your boarding house. The tiny servings of food, the young women who vanish without a trace to their loved ones, the men who shell out more for the company of younger companions. Thomas advanced, his expression contorted with fury, Is that really something you can prove? Caleb smiled, though it was far from pleasant. There's something amusing about small towns, Mr. Hartwell. Conversations unfold, and by posing the right inquiries, you uncover fascinating insights. Olivia gazed at Caleb in wonder. When had he been inquiring? When had he conducted his investigation? You have no right, Mrs. Whitmore began. I am fully entitled to safeguard those who reside in my home. Caleb interrupted her. And Olivia has become a member of my household now. How long will it take? Thomas scoffed. Until her questions wear you out? Until she stirs up too much chaos? What comes next? You'll return her, just as you have with all the others. The words struck Olivia with the force of a tangible impact. For Thomas was indeed correct, wasn't he? Eventually she was always sent back by everyone. Eventually even Caleb would grow weary of her. You're mistaken, Aurora interjected abruptly. All eyes were drawn to her once more. The young girl approached Olivia and gently grasped her hand. Papa doesn't send people away, Aurora stated, her gaze fixed firmly on Thomas. Once individuals become a part of our family, they remain with us, for all eternity. Olivia sensed the sting of tears welling up in her eyes. Aurora tightened her grip. Olivia has become a member of our family, Aurora continued. Every morning she prepares breakfast. She instructs me in the art of letters. She shares tales with me during my restless nights. She's here to stay. Mrs. Whitmore let out an exasperated sound. This is absurd. The girl is evidently unsettled by this situation. Olivia is joining us, and that's the end of the discussion. Negative. The word emerged with a force Olivia had never experienced in her own voice. I'm afraid I can't accompany you. I have no intention of marrying him. I refuse to feign appreciation for harshness. You unappreciative little. Thomas moved ahead, his hand lifted. The movement remained incomplete, forever lingering in the air. Caleb positioned himself between them, causing Thomas to falter and step back. I believe it would be best if you took your leave, Caleb said softly, before I lose my sense of decorum. Mrs. Whitmore and Thomas exchanged glances. Their gazes fell upon the legal document held by Mrs. Whitmore. They gazed upon Caleb's serene yet menacing visage. This isn't over, Mrs. Whitmore said at last. We will return with the genuine sheriff wielding true authority. You go ahead and do that, Caleb said. I will remain present. Olivia will too. My witnesses will indeed. Are there any witnesses? Thomas inquired. Caleb gestured toward the road. Olivia pivoted and inhaled sharply. 3 wagons stood there, brimming with townsfolk. Mr. Henderson of the general store, Mrs. Murphy from the congregation, the Olson family residing at the neighboring farm. Everyone is observing, fully attentive. In small towns, news spreads quickly, Caleb remarked. The visitors sparked curiosity among the people. Now they've encountered quite a tale. Mrs. Whitmore's complexion drained of color. A gathering of individuals had just listened to Thomas Hartwell discuss the challenges of educating strong-willed women and the endurance he found after the passing of his late wife. They had listened to her discuss possessing girls and the legal documentation involved. We shall return, Mrs. Whitmore declared, yet her voice trembled. I have no doubt you will, Caleb responded. We will be prepared. The 2 guests ascended once more into their wagon. Thomas cast a final, furious glance at Olivia, yet she remained unfazed. She stood upright and confident, holding Aurora's hand firmly, with Caleb by her side. As the dark wagon departed, Olivia sensed a shift within her heart. She had transformed from the frightened girl who had been sent back 3 times. She found herself in the company of others. She was surrounded by those ready to stand up for her. Yet, as the wagon faded from view, she understood that this was far from the end. Mrs. Whitmore and Thomas Hartwell were set to return. Next time, they could come armed with more than just fierce words. The victory was secured, yet the conflict had only just commenced. They will return tomorrow. Caleb's words lingered in the stillness of the kitchen, reminiscent of smoke drifting from a fading flame. Olivia lingered at the wooden table, her fingers encircling a cup of coffee that had long since lost its warmth as she gazed into the void. After an hour filled with tears and unanswerable questions, Aurora finally drifted off to sleep. I understand, Olivia murmured. And next time they'll summon the sheriff. Judge Abigail's order won't last indefinitely, Caleb said, his tone laden with concern. Its purpose was to grant us a reprieve, rather than to address the issue at hand. Olivia raised her gaze to him then, truly observing. His hair was tousled from the way he'd raked his fingers through it. His shirt bore the marks of neglect, creased and rumpled. Furrows of concern etched across his brow. She had inflicted this upon him, disrupting the tranquility of his serene abode.
"I should leave," she said softly, "before they return, before they complicate things for you and Aurora."
"Where to go?" Caleb inquired, taking a seat opposite her. "December has arrived, Olivia. Snow blankets the ground. Where might you venture?" She remained silent. There existed no place. No one would be willing to take in a girl who has neither money nor family. No one dared to confront Mrs. Whitmore's legal documents. "I could try the next town over," she said, though even she seemed to doubt it. "And when Mrs. Whitmore trails behind you, accompanied by the law, what will you do then?" Olivia sensed the sting of tears welling up in her eyes. She fought to hold them at bay. "Shedding tears won't solve the problem." Caleb extended his hand across the table, enveloping her cold hands with his warm touch. "Another path exists." There was an undeniable quality in his voice that compelled her to raise her gaze. His gray eyes held a weight of seriousness, a fierce determination shining through, the identical expression he had displayed when confronting Mrs. Whitmore and Thomas Hartwell. "Which direction?" she inquired. Caleb inhaled deeply, reminiscent of someone preparing to leap from a precipice. "Will you be my partner for life?" The words struck Olivia with the force of a frigid downpour. She fixed her gaze on him. Sure, she must have misheard. "What is happening?" "Marry me," Caleb said again, his voice more resolute this time. "Mrs. Whitmore holds no rights over a married woman. The law would support us in that case." Olivia withdrew her hands from his grasp, her heart racing. "Surely you must be joking. I am entirely earnest. But you don't care for me. I don't have feelings for you. Our acquaintance is quite limited." Caleb remained silent for an extended period. As he spoke, his voice carried a soft yet resolute quality. "I understand that you rise early to ignite the fire, ensuring the house is cozy for Aurora when she awakens. You saved every bit of bread for a week to feed the stray dog that appeared at our door. Sometimes, in the quiet of the night, tears may fall when you believe no one is listening." Olivia felt a flush spread across her cheeks. She was unaware that he had observed any of those details. "I recognize your courage," Caleb went on, "greater than what anyone ought to endure. I see the goodness in you, despite the harshness the world has shown you. It's clear that since you began sharing bedtime stories with Aurora, she hasn't experienced any nightmares." "That's not quite love," Olivia murmured. Caleb nodded in agreement. "It isn't, yet it is undeniably genuine. It's an opportunity for us to expand upon." Olivia rose abruptly, the chair dragging noisily across the floor. She approached the window and gazed out at the yard blanketed in snow. The moon hung high and full, casting a silvery glow that transformed the world into something otherworldly. "You have pity for me," she remarked. "This is precisely what it is. What a shame." She noticed the sound of Caleb's chair scraping against the floor as he rose to his feet as well. He walked across the kitchen floor, pausing right behind her. "Do you really believe I would tie the knot with someone just because I felt sorry for them?" he inquired softly. "What other reasons could there be?" The chicken found itself wedged halfway up the apple tree, and there was no denying it was Olivia's doing. Aurora laughed and gestured playfully from her place on the porch steps. "Mama." "Olivia, I mentioned that chickens aren't great at flying. I was merely attempting to remove her from my vegetable garden." Olivia returned the call, hands firmly placed on her hips, gazing up at the red hen that looked down at her with a fierce, regal glare. How was I to anticipate that she would become anxious and flit around up there? Caleb stepped out of the barn, surveyed the scene, and burst into laughter, leaning against the fence post for support. "Do not even think about laughing at me, Caleb Noah." Yet Olivia was struggling to suppress a smile of her own. 3 months of marriage had revealed to her that certain calamities were, in fact, thrilling escapades in disguise. April had arrived, and once more the world was bursting with life. Emerald tendrils emerged from the parched soil. The apple trees donned their crowns of delicate white blossoms. The atmosphere was infused with the scent of flourishing life and endless potential. Olivia had endured her first winter as a married woman,
and spring emerged as a well-deserved reward for her perseverance. "I'll grab the ladder," Caleb remarked, a laugh still lingering in his voice.
"Not necessary." Olivia lifted her skirts and seized the lowest branch. "I managed to get her up there. I will bring her down." "Olivia, exercise caution." Yet she was ascending, her robust arms hoisting her upward, one branch at a time. The chicken let out a loud squawk and flapped its wings, ascending to a higher perch.
"Now see what you've caused?" Olivia whispered, extending her hand for another branch. "It seems we're both going to be trapped up here."
The perspective from the pinnacle of the apple tree was breathtaking. She gazed upon the entire valley unfurling beneath her, with lush fields, glistening streams, and homes dotting the landscape like playful trinkets. A train chugged rhythmically along the tracks, transporting souls to destinations she had never explored and had no desire to revisit.
"Olivia Noah," she mused, experimenting with how the name resonated against the vastness of the sky. Spouse, parent, adventurer in the treetops. "What are you up to up there?" A voice emerged from below. Olivia glanced down and noticed an unfamiliar woman standing in their yard. She appeared youthful, perhaps around Olivia's age, sporting dark hair and an elegant dress that seemed incongruous on a farm. A figure clad in a sleek black suit stood next to her, grasping the reins of two elegant horses attached to a polished buggy.
"Acquiring a chicken."
Olivia returned the call as though that clarified all matters. Caleb advanced with purpose. "How may I assist you all?" The woman gazed at Olivia with a look of intrigue in her eyes.
"I am in search of Olivia Charlotte. I've heard she resides here now."
Olivia's heart froze. She was no longer referred to as Olivia Charlotte. Only those from her past recognized that name. Caleb spoke with caution, stating, "There's no Olivia Charlotte here."
"Hold on!"
Olivia descended the tree with remarkable speed, leaving the chicken behind in her haste. She leaped the final few feet and hit the ground with a thud, her skirts ensnared around her legs. "I am now Olivia Noah, though I was once known as Olivia Charlotte." The woman smiled, and in that moment, Olivia's world shifted dramatically. "Rose," she murmured. Her sister Rose, 2 years older, had been placed 3 years ago with a family in Chicago. Rose, a figure from Olivia's past, she believed was lost to her forever. "Greetings, dear sister." They rushed toward one another, embracing in a way that almost sent them tumbling to the ground. Olivia inhaled the fragrance of luxurious soap and perfume, a stark contrast to the modest lavender water she currently employed. "What led you to discover me?" Olivia inquired, gripping firmly. "Months of meticulous investigation were required."
"I engaged investigators to locate all my sisters. You are the very first I've discovered."
Aurora inched forward, hesitant, yet intrigued. "Who is this lady, Mama Olivia?" "Meet my sister, Rose." "Rose, allow me to introduce you to my daughter, Aurora." Rose raised her eyebrows.
"Is that your daughter?"
"Olivia, you never cease to amaze." Caleb approached, his expression careful yet courteous. "I am Caleb Noah, the husband of Olivia." A figure in a dark suit advanced with purpose. "I am Detective James Wright. Mrs. Abigail engaged my services to find her relatives."
"Abigail?"
Olivia gazed at Rose, a look of bewilderment crossing her face. 6 months after departing from the boarding house, I wed William Abigail. He possesses 3 hotels in Chicago." Rose's smile carried a sense of pride, yet it bore the weight of exhaustion. "I have wealth now, Olivia. Incredibly affluent. I am eager to assist you." A chill took root in Olivia's stomach. "How can I assist you?" "It's time to break free from this way of living." Rose pointed towards the farmhouse, the yard, the uncomplicated existence Olivia had created. "Feel free to join me on my trip to Chicago. I will cover your tuition, provide you with exquisite attire, and connect you with the social elite. Imagine tying the knot with someone of great significance, enjoying the luxury of servants, and residing in a grand mansion." The phrases lingered in the atmosphere, reminiscent of wisps from an unwanted blaze. "I am married," Olivia said slowly, "to Caleb." "Oh, darling." Rose's voice was soft yet filled with compassion. "This is not a genuine marriage. This is the essence of endurance. I understand because I've experienced it myself. There's no need for pretense around me." Caleb's expression became rigid and unyielding. Aurora clutched Olivia's hand, feeling the impending threat. "It feels genuine to me," Olivia murmured softly. "Consider the possibilities that await you. Wealth, knowledge, esteem. One might embark on a journey across the globe, experiencing the wonders of Paris, London, and New York. You have the potential to become someone significant. Olivia surveyed her existence. The quaint farmhouse, complete with its creaky front step and blooming rose bushes flanking the entrance, the garden of vegetables she had nurtured with her own hands. The apple tree stood tall with the chicken perched upon its branches, seemingly pondering the commotion surrounding it. Caleb, a figure of strength and kindness, had bestowed upon her his name at a time when she had nothing to give in exchange. Aurora, radiant and fearless, who called out to her mother with sincerity. "I am someone significant," she declared. "I am a partner, a parent, and a companion. I cultivate, repair, and bring joy to others through laughter. I have the ability to scale trees, capture chickens, and narrate bedtime tales. What could possibly hold more significance than that?" Rose scowled. "Olivia, your thoughts seem a bit muddled. You find yourself in solitude, distanced from the bustle of society. You have no idea what you're overlooking. Perhaps you're unaware of what lies beyond your current experience." The words escaped with a precision Olivia hadn't meant to convey. Rose took a step back, a flash of pain crossing her features. "Apologies," Olivia responded swiftly. "I didn't intend to come across as harsh. I'm thrilled to hear about your success, Rose. Indeed, this is my achievement. This is my joy. Residing on a farm, engaged in physical work, lacking financial resources, devoid of recognition, and facing an uncertain future. Being surrounded by a family that embraces me for my true self, rather than for my abilities or contributions." Detective Wright adjusted his posture, preparing to speak. "Maybe it would be best for you all to have this conversation on your own. Mrs. Abigail, we have accommodations available at the hotel in town." "Indeed," Rose replied, her gaze fixed on Olivia, eyes filled with bewilderment. "Absolutely, that's a great suggestion. Olivia, consider my words carefully. I'll return tomorrow, and we can discuss further." Once they departed, the yard seemed overwhelmingly silent. Aurora vanished into the house. Caleb lingered by the fence, gazing out over the expansive fields. He finally said, "You could accompany her." Olivia felt a tightness in her chest. "Is that truly what you desire?" "My desire is for your happiness. If she is able to provide you with what I cannot, Caleb Noah, direct your gaze towards me." He turned, and she caught a glimpse of fear flickering in his eyes. The same dread she experienced when Mrs. Whitmore arrived with Thomas Hartwell, attempting to pull her back into a life that felt more like existing than truly living. "Do you recall what you shared with me when we first crossed paths? About Aurora realizing that it's possible to endure the loss of everything and still discover reasons to persevere?" He gave a slight nod. "I made it through and discovered my motivations. They exist within this yard, within these walls, within the life we've crafted side by side. Rose may present me with endless possibilities, yet I find myself content with all that I possess." That evening, Olivia discovered Aurora perched by her bedroom window, enveloped in an unusual silence. "What thoughts are fluttering through your mind, little bird? Are you planning to depart with the elegant woman?" Olivia settled next to her daughter and embraced her tightly. "What are your thoughts on this? It seems to me that she may not fully grasp the concept of families. She believes that wealth and large homes bring happiness to individuals. Yet, I felt a sense of sadness even during the times when Mama was alive and we had all that we required. I'm content now, despite our limited finances. What do you believe is the reason for that?" Aurora pondered this thoughtfully. "True happiness transcends material possessions. It's all about surrounding yourself with those who care and engaging in activities that bring you joy from within." Olivia pressed her lips gently against the crown of Aurora's head. "You show remarkable intelligence for someone your age. I inherit it from you and Dad." That night, Olivia found herself wide awake, contemplating the paths she had not chosen. What if she had traveled to Chicago 3 years prior? What if she had chosen to marry Thomas Hartwell? What if she had never crossed paths with Caleb and Aurora? She could have possessed greater wealth. She could have adorned herself in silk dresses, resided in a grand mansion, and had servants attending to her cooking and cleaning. Yet, would she have found greater happiness? The following morning, Rose arrived with a trunk brimming with presents: silk scarves, pearl earrings, books,
and a charming music box that played a delicate waltz upon opening the lid. "These are merely samples," Rose remarked, laying out the treasures across Olivia's kitchen table. "Imagine the possibilities that await you if you choose to join me." With delicate fingers, Aurora lifted the music box, her gaze filled with awe. The melody was exquisite, as fragile as the wings of a butterfly. "It's beautiful," Olivia remarked sincerely. "Everything. It's kind of you to keep us in mind." "So, you're going to join us?" "No." Rose's expression dimmed. "But what is the reason? What unique qualities does this place offer that Chicago lacks?" Olivia surveyed her modest kitchen. Sunlight poured through the windows she had meticulously cleaned herself. The bread she had baked that morning rested on the counter, cooling gently. Aurora's artwork adorned an entire wall, showcasing images of their family, the farm, and the animals. A vase brimming with wildflowers rested on the table, gathered by tiny hands earlier that day. "It possesses us," she stated plainly. "Together we are crafting a life that is uniquely ours. You are making an error, perhaps. However, the fault lies with me to bear." Rose gathered her gifts, leaving behind only the music box for Aurora. She paused at the door, glancing back. "If you happen to reconsider." "I will not. But Rose, I truly wish you discover what you seek. Genuine joy, beyond mere facade." Rose's eyes brimmed with tears. "I believe that wealth would solve all my problems." "Is that so?" "At times. Yet there are moments when I rise in my spacious home surrounded by my luxurious possessions, and an emptiness lingers within me. I feel like I'm still that frightened girl at the boarding house, just dressed in different attire." Olivia embraced her sister once more. "Fear doesn't have to be a permanent state. Happiness is a choice you can make no matter your surroundings." Once Rose departed, Olivia discovered Caleb in the barn, meticulously grooming his horse with an intensity that seemed excessive for the creature's needs. "Is everything okay?" she inquired. "I reflected on what your sister mentioned. I regret that I cannot provide you with what you truly deserve." Olivia gently removed the brush from his grasp and placed it down. "Caleb Noah, do you have feelings for me?" "Absolutely." "Do you hold me in regard?" "Absolutely." "Do you pay attention when I speak and appreciate my thoughts?" "Without fail." "Do you bring joy to my heart and soothe my soul when I'm down, standing by my side in times of trouble?" "I make an effort to." "Then you provide me with all that I am entitled to, all that I require, all that I desire." She rose on her tiptoes and pressed her lips against his. In that very barn, she stood with hay woven through her hair, dirt smudged on her hands, and the unmistakable scent of horses enveloping them. It may not have been the fairy tale kind of romance found in storybooks, but it was genuine, comforting, and uniquely theirs. That afternoon, Olivia began composing a letter to Rose. She made 3 attempts to find the perfect words, crafting each letter with a deliberate slowness, her careful handwriting improving with each passing day. "My dear sister," she started, "I appreciate your consideration and willingness to assist, but I have already received the help I need. I have already found salvation. I find myself precisely in the right place. I wish that one day you will find that as well. With all my heart, Olivia Noah." She carefully sealed the letter and made her way to town to personally mail it. On her return journey, she paused at the cemetery where Caleb's first wife lay to rest. She had never been there before, sensing that she was encroaching on a deeply personal sorrow. The tombstone was unadorned. Margaret Noah, cherished spouse and devoted parent. Fresh flowers had been left behind, likely by Caleb or perhaps Aurora. "Greetings, Margaret," Olivia spoke softly. "My name is Olivia. I'm looking after your family now." The breeze rustled the blades of grass encircling the grave, and Olivia decided to interpret it as a warm greeting. "I want you to understand that they are content." Aurora is chattering once more, brimming with inquiries and joy. Caleb beams with a joy that seems to have eluded him for quite some time. "We have no intention of taking your place. We are moving forward, creating something fresh upon the groundwork you established." She lingered for a few more moments, then made her way home as the sun dipped below the mountains. Caleb guided Aurora in the delicate art of milking the cow, their heads inclined closely as they focused intently on the task at hand. As she drew near, their expressions lit up with warmth and invitation. "What was the outcome in town?" Caleb inquired. "Excellent. I sent a letter to Rose and gathered supplies for the baking session tomorrow. Mrs. Jenkins has requested 6 loaves of my brown bread for the church social, Aurora said proudly. Your bread is the talk of the county. It's claimed to be the finest flavor anyone has ever experienced. Olivia experienced a comforting surge of pride. Half a year ago, she was just an ordinary person. At last, she had gained recognition for something she had crafted herself. That evening, as they lingered on the porch, observing the fireflies twirl in the deepening twilight, Olivia came to understand that she had ceased to gaze toward the horizon, pondering what mysteries it held beyond. The horizon remained, brimming with potential, yet she found herself no longer compelled to pursue it. In this moment, surrounded by those who embraced her, and whom she embraced in return, she discovered her true belonging in the world. Out of the blue, she exclaimed, "I have an idea!" "What is that?" Caleb inquired. "Next spring, let's create a grand garden filled with vibrant flowers, fresh vegetables, and perhaps even a few fruit trees. This place will be transformed into such a stunning sight that visitors will travel from far and wide just to experience it." "I like that idea," Aurora said, her voice laced with drowsiness. Caleb nodded in agreement, intertwining his fingers with Olivia's. In the distance, a train whistle resonated through the valley, ushering strangers toward uncharted destinations. Yet Olivia ceased to ponder the destination it could lead her to. She had arrived home,